Hello, this is Godel. Welcome to the Islands of Insight series. This is my first time doing something on YouTube, so I'm gonna see how it goes. I plan to have two series here with Islands of Insight. At least plan is the key word there. Uh, this is going to be the first of the series where I focus on going through Islands of Insight and solving all of the static puzzles. So I'll talk about more what that means, future plans maybe. But for now, let's get started on the game here. So this is a fresh save file I have. I'm playing the offline version. Um, I do have a different save file with a bit more progress, but that one I'll leave for later. For now, the goal of this save file is going to be basically to go through the game and do all of what is called the static puzzles of the game. So static puzzles are puzzles that are there in every session that you open, um, regardless of what day it is or anything like that. There's another set of puzzles called the hub puzzles or daily puzzles, as some people call them. Those change daily and affect the mainland, but I'll be focusing on the static puzzles. So, without further ado, here is the start of the static puzzle series. The first puzzle we are doing here is a wandering echo. We just run and catch up. And this whole area here is going to be just a tutorial for the entire, not the entire game, but the start of the game here. Um, Over here we can see kind of this expansive world. We can zoom in with the right click as well, which is cool. We can zoom out. Game is telling me to zoom out, change point of view. I prefer to play in first person, so that's what I'm going to be doing here. But down there's the hubs. These little islands are called enclaves. Most of the static puzzles are located on enclaves, so I will be focusing a lot on those. There are a good amount of static puzzles in the hub areas as well. For example, there's an island over there that has a few static puzzles on it. And then there are going to be what's called trials on the hubs, which are also a set of static puzzles. But we've done our first puzzle, that Wandering Echo. Let's go ahead and go in here. So this is kind of the game's bread and butter. This is a logic grid, and if you've done Sudoku or a similar kind of paper and pen logic grids, that's what this is here. So every logic grid, you open it up, and it has a set of rules over here on the right, which you have to follow to complete the puzzle. So if we look at the rules here, it's just a rule of collect all dark cells, and we just, well, here's the dark cells, and we need to make a path that connects them. So that's all there is to that one. This is gonna kind of start as a tutorial series as we start, so I'll kind of explain what I'm doing as I'm doing it. Here we have connect all light cells, so that's what I'm doing here. But as I progress further and we see kind of more of the same stuff, I'll probably talk about what I'm doing a lot less. Here we have connect all dark cells, so just going to do that. These are, again, tutorial puzzles, so they're not really that tricky. Now we're introduced with our first puzzle with two rules: connect all dark and light cells. So when you're solving these, you really have to think about what to do as much as you think about what not to do. So if we put a dark cell at this tile I have selected here, we're going to block in this light cell. So we know this light cell has to come out before we do anything, and then once again, it has to come out one more time. Now we have to connect the dark cells, because if we do not, then, or if we put any more white cells, it's going to block the dark cell connection. So that was a Pillar of Insight. Pillar of Insights often teach basic concepts for the game. For puzzles, I mean. So going up here, there's a little bit of a story here. I won't be focusing too much on the story, but it exists. So let's go into our next grid. So we have connect all dark cells and light cells. So Just going to connect the dark cells back there, and then here, and then we have to do the light cells. Easy. So now we're going to go into the main area of the first enclave here. And we're going to be introduced to a whole bunch of different types of puzzles. And I'm just going to skip this little cutscene here. So let's do this logic grid right here. So this logic grid has a new rule. Don't make a shape. And if I'm being honest, don't make a shape is probably my least favorite kind of rule, because a lot of the times you're just hunting and pecking around in the puzzle to try to not make that shape. But in this puzzle, we're trying not to make a 2x2 dark or light. So if we look in what we have in the grid, we have these kind of these elbows of dark cells, and if we put a dark cell here, it's going to make, well, it's going to make a 2x2. So we need to prevent those from happening. Now we've made this elbow of light cells, so we need to block that one, and then the last cell, if we put a dark, it's going to be a 2x2 of dark cells again, so we put a light. That's kind of how that works. Pretty straightforward. Let's go over here and look at these puzzles. So these are called matchboxes, and when you click them, you start forming this link. And what you need to do is you need to find the matchbox with the same shape, link it up. We see another matchbox over here in the tree, and I think that's that one, yeah. So we have this symbol, and that symbol is the same, so link those up. Let's go in here. We'll do this logic grid in a second, but I saw this matchbox, and I'm like, where could that be? Matchboxes are often in a place where it's easy to see both at the same time, but you gotta find where that place is to stand. So we see this is kind of like this weird heart-shaped matchbox with lines going through it. I don't know. There's the green one of that one, so link those together. Alright. And then over here we have our first hidden archway. So there's 3 types of hidden puzzles. There's a hidden archways, there is the hidden cube, and then the hidden ring. So the game's telling me here to look at my upgrades really quick. I'll go in there in just 1 second. Kind of showing me the tutorial of this. Well, it wants me to buy it now, so this is like a skill tree that you get in here, and you unlock skills as you're playing the game, or you earn these sparks as you're playing the game, and then with the sparks you can buy skills and then other customizations. So right now we just bought the double jump, so now if we jump, we can jump again. So there will be some platforming elements to this game later, speedrunning puzzles, they're called flow orbs, that we'll be doing later, but not yet. Alright, as I was mentioning before, there are 3 types of hidden puzzles. Sorry there, I was trying to hone in on where this one is. There is a hidden cube right here. So these are actually pretty hard to spot, and they're pretty small, but they make this this kind of shimmering sound effect you can hear now until you have found them. So now that I've clicked that, I found it, it has stopped shimmering. That's cool. There's a matchbox here. Not sure where the green one of that is yet. We can take a look around. Hidden archway here. That is the green one of that one that was up there, but we can't see it from here, so I've got to find a place where we can see them both. There we go. Alright, let's run around a bit, see what we find. This is a hidden pentad. Another type of hidden puzzle, I guess I forgot to mention this one. So when you activate one of these, it generates this bubble, and within the bubble it has 5 hidden relics you need to find here. So they just look like this, they're just scattered around in the bubble. There's the first 2. They can be pretty well hidden. This is the tutorial area, so they're not going to be too bad, right? There's number 3, there's number 4, and then number 5 I think is right there. Nope, it wasn't where I thought it would be. I thought it might be on the roof, but I guess for a tutorial area that might be too rough. Let's do a logic grid here. So connect all light and dark cells. So we want to connect this here so these light cells can escape. Yeah, if we put any dark cells in this area, they're not going to be able to escape, so we'll just fill that in with light cells, and then this has to come out this way. This has to escape here. These have to connect, and then these have to connect here. And then now we can't have a dark cell in this area, or it's isolated, and the same for this. There are some specific rules for puzzles that have connect all light cells and dark cells, but we'll get to that when we get to that. And we have completed our first quest and earned our first Mirabilis. So Mirabilis are, they're kind of like keystone progress indicators of completing a area. Well, here, game just decided to explain it for me instead. So, main form of progression in the campaign. During the campaign, you need a certain number of Mirabilis to get through certain areas, but you're not required to collect them all. Collecting them all is optional. But let's take a look at our zone objectives really quick here. So in the top right corner here, we have Moments of Discovery. That's the name of this enclave. And then it says the goals for this enclave. So there's a bonus goal here we have not yet completed. Solve any 22 puzzles. Since this is going to be the static puzzle series, I'm going to be solving all of the puzzles. And I'm actually going to pick up the pace a little bit. I'm going to start to talk about things that we see for the first time here. So here's a logic grid here. We're using some rules we used before. And just filling that in really quick. When I see something interesting in a logic puzzle and logic grid, I'll probably talk about it. But otherwise, I'm not going to spend my time explaining every single logic grid we do, because that would get tedious fast, I feel like, and people don't need to see how to do a one-paper puzzle for the 500th time. This is a puzzle type called an armillary ring. You have to basically thread a needle through these that goes through all of the yellow hoops, but none of the dark ones. So if we try to go here, that's wrong, and then we can try to go through here, it's going through all the yellow ones, but it's going through some dark ones. So if we get this angle right here, we can see we're going through all three of the gold ones and none of the dark ones. So boom. And then once you solve it, it puts this little needle in here, which is cool. It shows you the angle at which you solved it. Here's another one. Here's another one. Whoop, missed a gold ring there. Missed another gold ring there. That one had like a little tight corridor in there. You can always, you can oftentimes go and get a different angle on these. This would have been a satisfactory angle here, and it's much wider, so that was probably intended, but there's no one way to solve these. Tons of ways to solve those. Alright, do a quick logic grid here. We got connect all dark cells and no dark 2x2s, so connecting all the dark cells and then no 2x2s. Easy puzzles. I haven't talked about the difficulty of the puzzles yet, but I will in a moment once we start to see things that are beyond one pip puzzles. And I believe there is a hidden cube up here. Yes, I heard it when I was walking in. And I see a hidden cube up there, so let's grab that. And I just tried to glide. A little later you get the ability to glide, and I forgot I don't have it unlocked yet, so... There we go, hidden cube. Anything else up here? No? Okay. Just leveled up, that's cool. Saw a hidden cube up here, so let me grab that one really quick. Navigating before having the ability to glide is actually a little tricky, but we'll get through this, no problem. Alright, I see a puzzle up there, logic grid. Let's go do that one. If you are new, these little pillars give you a kind of tutorial of all the different puzzles. That's kind of what I'm doing here, so I'm not going to go through these, but if you are playing this for yourself, feel free to. So here we have a rule: don't make a white light domino and don't make a dark 2x2, so we are going to prevent all the light dominoes here, then we're going to prevent the 2x2s, and then prevent the dominoes, and then prevent the 2x2s, and prevent the domino, and prevent the 2x2s, and prevent the dominoes. Yeah. These puzzles early on, especially the ones that are just prevent the shape or don't make the shape, they're not too hard, but if you're new to these kind of puzzles, take your time with them. Make sure you understand them. Alright, so we just got our bonus Mirabilis here, and technically we are, quote, done with this enclave. There's no further rewards to be gotten, but there are more puzzles, and this is the static puzzle series, so we're going to be going through here and finishing it. And I don't actually see how many puzzles we have to do here, so we are going to probably leave the enclave and come back in a moment so that it can show us the progress on the map. But in the meantime, here's a new puzzle type we've not done yet. This is called the Sentinel Stone, and the goal of this puzzle is to stand at a place where you can select and have all of these pillars see your position at the same time. So I'm trying to do it right now from this position, and we see there's a pillar right here that I can't see. Technically, you have to specifically see the center of the pillar, so where this line is coming out of. So I'm going to have to find a different place. And there we go. This looks good. I can see everything from here. Typically, when you're solving these, you'll kind of like get to a vanishing point where just like suddenly a bunch of them are visible at the same time. So you can just grab them there. Here's the game explaining that there's more puzzles at this enclave, but you don't have to do them. But we're gonna do them anyways. So haha, take that. Logic grid. Gonna start to go through these easier ones a little bit more quickly here. There we go. Just making sure I connect all the dark cells, but don't make a 2x2. Pretty simple rule set. Forgot if there's anything up here. Let's take a peek. On top of these stone pillars. And I'm not seeing anything, so... There was a hidden cube up here. I lied. Okay. And then, if I recall correctly, I feel like there was an area down here, and then... Oh no! I've fallen off the island. Whatever will I do? Well, luckily you can't actually fall and die or take damage or anything like that in this game. So, if you fall off, the game just puts you back on a place from where you fell from. Sometimes it puts you in a weird place, but usually it's near where you fell. So we jump down here to this little section. There is an armillary ring, and then there was a hidden archway I didn't mention, but I did get. And now we have our first 2-pit puzzle. So when you open a 2-pit puzzle, when you open a puzzle, it always has like a certain difficulty, and there's 10 different difficulty levels. So there's the pip difficulties, and then after pips there's stars. So these are still on pip difficulties. They're pretty simple. So 1 pip is very simple. 2 pip is usually you're gonna have to now use a little bit more thinking or logic to make sure you don't mess things up. So let's look at our rules here. So we have no 2x2 and connect all dark cells. So we've seen both of these before. Let's do all the 2x2 preventions first. And now we need to connect all the dark cells. So I'm going to get this out of here. And then I'm going to get this out of here. So you might be able to see, okay, as a 2-pit puzzle, it's a little bit larger. And then also there were more things you had to do to make sure that you didn't make an error while solving it. Let's go back up here. And I think we might be done with this area. I will... Oh, there is one more puzzle here I have not done yet. So you'll see these little floating golden orbs all over the place, especially in the hub areas. But these are called sky drops. And what you want to do is stand in a place where, from your perspective, they line up and make a shape. So here we go. Make this little ring. And if you click on it, it's going to do a little cool swoopy swoop animation. But if you look at the sky drops again, they're still in this weird, or they're still in this totally out of line orientation from a different perspective. So it's a cool kind of perspective puzzle. The trick to finding these is you kind of want to find where they're kind of leading down towards the ground, and the smaller ones especially will be the key that, or the hint that it's a starting point, and then you just kind of line them up on that. We'll be doing more of those later, so. Alright, and now we are going to finish our enclave. Touch the Great Pearl to complete the journey. Complete the enclave, I guess. So we have unlocked the map. And the map is going to let us see all of the different places here. The map is pretty big. The game's pretty big, to be honest. There's a lot of puzzles. Even the static puzzles, which are the minority of the puzzles, there's a lot more hub puzzles than static puzzles. They're going to take a while to get through, so. But, yeah, we did unlock the map, and from the map we can actually look and see this enclave, Moments of Discovery. We have 29 of 30 puzzles solved. So let's find the last puzzle. Should not take too long to find it. Let's walk around a bit. And remember, if you're playing this for yourself, feel free to leave as soon as you've completed the first objective. Feel free to leave as soon as you've gotten all of the secondary objectives. But doing 100% puzzle completion, as I'm part of what I'm doing of my static series, totally not needed. So, play how you want to play. Alright. So, gonna be looking around a bit for whatever the last puzzle is. It doesn't even tell you what the puzzle is, so you're kind of on your own if you're trying to solve them. If I knew it was like a hidden cube at least, then that would make it a little easier to find. But I don't even know that much, so just on my own trying to solve it, and falling off buildings trying to do so. That's always fun. Alright. Oh, here it is. So, it's hard to... I'm used to seeing these, but there is like this distortion you can see here from this hidden archway. And as you get closer, the hidden archway reveals itself. So we have now fully completed the first enclave. Yay. With that, I'm going to go down into the first main hub area. This is the Verdant Glen. And in the Verdant Glen, we're going to see our first hub puzzles. This is not a puzzle, this is like a little lore tidbit. I'll pick them up, but I'm not really going to read them or focus on them in this gameplay. So here we are, in our first hub. So when you're in a hub, you'll get these screens here that you can look at, and it shows how many puzzles are in the hub and how many you've done for the day. On this playthrough, I'm not going to be focusing on hub puzzles. I might hit some certain puzzles up as I'm walking or as I see them, like right here I see this matchbox. I'm gonna do it, why not? It's right in front of my face. There's gonna be these puzzles here that we can't do yet. To activate these we have to go to a certain enclave or a certain trial and activate it from there. Free hidden archway, I'll take that. So for now I'm gonna focus on the main campaign objective, which is to navigate to the Great Pearl. So wants me to open the map and see, hey, take this path to the Great Pearl. Okay, I'm on it. I know where I'm going. And in the hub puzzles, you do see a lot of different types of puzzles. So back there a second ago, you just saw me walk past the logic grid. That's not actually doable right now. I have to unlock that before I can do it. Here's a quick matchbox I can do. Here's a 4-pip logic puzzle. Why don't we do that really quick? That'll be fun. So now this is introducing the difficulty concept. So there's 5 pips of difficulty here, and then beyond pips is the much more difficult star puzzles. But this is a 4-pip. The game says it's very hard. Your mileage will vary depending on how good you are at logic puzzles. If you have any prior experience doing them. But we have 4 rules here. So no dark or light 2x2s, and then connect all dark and light cells. So this is actually not giving us a lot to start with. We need to think about how we want to do this. So let's think about it for a minute. So one thing I'm noticing is that these tiles are kind of symmetrical. And if we want to be able to connect all of the light and dark cells, Basically, the light and dark cells are gonna make kind of like a yin-yang shape where it's like kind of opposites of each other. So if we put a dark cell over here, what we would have to do is connect this dark cell to this dark cell, and we can't have a straight line across here like this, for example, right? I know I made a bunch of junk in here, because if we now have to put a white on both this and this side, we're not going to be able to connect those light cells. So if we put a dark here and here, we're going to have to go around one of the borders. So if we try to go around this border, we make a dark cell over here, and if we 2 by 2 over there, and if we try to go this way, make a 2 by 2 over here as well. So we know that's going to have to start like that. And then neither of these can go to this point, because if we go to this point, then we have to drag it through there, and that's going to be invalid. So we know that this has to be dark, and then this is going to have to be light, and then we can connect those, because if we do something like this, where we go around the edge, we're not going to be able to get this dark cell out of here. Whoops. I did too many moves, and then I couldn't undo it properly. So now we know this is going to be the starting point of this puzzle. Since this white is hugging the edge here, we're just going to do the same here, and then, like I said, the tiles here are symmetrical, so we can fill this in. We can now do our 2 by 2 prevention, so mark anywhere that's going to make a 2 by 2 with the appropriate color to prevent the 2 by 2. For the most part, that's going to finish up the puzzle. The tricky part of this puzzle was definitely getting it started. Okay, that should be dark, and then this one should be light, and then this one should be light. And I made an error. Let's look here really quick to see if I can figure out where I made the error. This is what happens when you're solving the puzzle too quickly. That my error is... Well, this would actually be a good opportunity to introduce one of the other features of the game. So you have these foresight features, which basically show you a hint, or if you made an error, they tell you where you made an error. So it's saying this is the first tile I colored wrong. So if I just hit undo until I get to this tile. Yeah, I mean, I just put a light tile here, but I had no reason to put a light tile here. Right now, we don't know what this one should be, so I shouldn't have put that there yet. I should instead go and focus on things that I know. Yes, this has to be here, because it's the only place for that to be. So, let's see here now. We put a light cell here, then we end up with that problem from before where we have this isolated dark piece. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark this one as dark because we know the other way is wrong. That's not exactly how you want to go about figuring out the solution, just by saying, oh, we know this is wrong, so this one must be right because we used a hint. We'll try not to use hints when we can help it, but in that case, I don't want to necessarily spend forever fiddling or restarting the whole puzzle because I didn't know where I made the mistake. This isn't going to be a solve everything from the start of the puzzle without any hints, so I'm just going to give that disclaimer. Hints will be used here and there. Anyways, we see a new type of puzzle here we've never seen before. This is a different kind of perspective puzzle where these lines are kind of grafted onto the environment from a very specific place, and you need to find where that is so that it makes this symbol. This is kind of like the islands of one of the primary islands of insight symbols here. So now we've reached the Great Pearl. And the Great Pearl actually has these interesting... They're kind of like daily quests you can take. So I'm actually going to go ahead and take a daily quest. There's a rare luminous quest here that rewards 200 points for solving 30 cubic puzzles. Cubic puzzles are any kind of puzzle that has, well, it's a cube. So logic grids apply, hidden cubes are cubic puzzles, and etc. There's all sorts of puzzles in here. I'm not going to be focusing on doing daily puzzles and earning sparks on this playthrough. Just enough to get through our skill tree over here. But it exists. So, whoops, I didn't actually activate the Great Pearl. So the objective was to travel to the Great Pearl. So here we go, doing that. For this first video, I want to get into the first major enclave, which is going to be the next one here. It's marking on the map, the Empyrean Journey, and I want to complete that enclave, and then that's where I'm gonna leave it for this first episode. So just running towards there. Again, in the hub puzzles, I'm not really gonna focus on doing the puzzles over here too much until I have a reason to, or I'm starting to tackle these static puzzles. I did mention there are static puzzles here in the hub area, so over there on top of this island where that lore fragment is, there's a few static puzzles up there. Oh, we'll be tackling those in future episodes. So here we go. Here is our first enclave, so I'm going to open the enclave here. This, whenever you're in an enclave, it does tell you if you're going to unlock any new puzzles. Puzzle to be awakened, logic grid. In this case, we can already do logic grid, so when it says puzzle to be awakened logic grid, it's telling you a new type of logic grid. So we'll see what that new type of logic grid is shortly. But before we go in here, here's a static puzzle right here. Bet some people didn't know this is a static puzzle. So you open this puzzle and you're like, wow, where do I even start here? Well, this is actually a tutorial puzzle for the foresight mechanic. So at the top here it says, this puzzle looks tricky, try using foresight. So if you use foresight and you currently have everything correct, what it's going to do is basically give you a hint and be like, hey, take a look over here, what do you think this should be? So if we look at this and then we look at our rules, one of our rules is connect all dark cells. So if we're looking here and you actually look at the grid, you can see there's this wall of light cells right here. So if we put a light cell here, we're actually going to isolate all of the dark cells on this area. So now we know this one must be dark. And now we just complete the puzzle as normal. So I'm just going to fill this in. And then we're going to do the same on this side. No darks can go in here because it would get isolated. And there we go. That was the foresight tutorial. And now we are entering our first big enclave. So you might have seen there as I was swooping in, I went through a float orb, which I couldn't do. But we're going to just keep going here. So we'll go back and get that once we have easier way to get up to that little island. So here's our first logic grid of this island, and we have our first rule. So this is the one of the rules that appears very often going forward, and it is the area numbers. And basically, when you have an area numbers puzzle, it just says you must have X number of tiles in this area. So this white 4 here has to have 4 light cells touching it. So we're going to add 3 more. So now it's 4. And we can't add another one because that's going to violate the constraint of that. So we now need to close it off to make it so that it cannot touch any more light cells. And then this 2 has to come out this way because it has no other way to go. And then we have to close it off. So there we go. First number grid complete. And I'll probably start talking a little less about them as we go. So here's one where everything's actually already the size it needs to be. So we simply just close everything off. Very easy puzzle for that one. Again, this is like the first time it's showing this kind of rule, so everything's going to be pretty straightforward. So isolate the 1, isolate the 2, and then fill in the 3. Here's a hidden ring. We haven't seen these yet, but this is one of the other kind of hidden puzzles. So if you just swoop through it, you don't need to go through the center of it, just even hitting the edge solves it. And that's all there is to that puzzle. They can be, they're actually one of the more tricky ones to find because they don't make a noise and they can be floating up in the air. So they can be kind of hard to find. Like there's one right there you might not have seen. Except now you've seen it because I pointed it out. Alright, let's solve this armillary ring. All puzzles at the Enclave are static, even armillary rings. So whereas I might not be doing any armillary rings in the hub areas or many armillary rings in the hub areas, I will be doing these armillary rings and such in the enclave. So do this logic grid here. So when you have two different numbers, those numbers cannot connect, because if we connect these two, we can't have a light area that's size 2 and 4 at the same time. So first things first is we have to block that off, and then we simply fill in the rest of this. As you do some puzzles, you'll get these insights, and they basically kind of just explain the thing or the trick you use to solve it. So this insight was you cannot connect areas of different sizes. So just gonna go on here. This is a little bit more of a think about it before you start filling it in. You have to make this size 8 light area here, but in this area you only have light cells, or you only have 6 cells for it. So you know that this 8 at minimum has to come out to here, because then you'd have 6 in here and then 2 in here. And now this 7 has to come out this way, and it can't connect to there, so we have to go this way. So we're at 6, 7, and now we're going to close that off, and now we see that we need to fill in the rest of the 8. So never any guessing required for these puzzles, unless you're bad. I mean, I'm bad sometimes. I need to figure out how puzzles work, and I can't figure it out sometimes, so. Here we go. We're going to separate those. This puzzle has a new rule we haven't seen yet. It's another don't make a specific shape rule, but it's just a don't make this 4 in a row kind of shape. So we're going to go through and make no 4 in a row. So if we put a light cell here, we're going to make a 4 in a row and violate that rule. So we're going to block that off and then keep building this 6. So now we have 5 here. We don't actually know if the 6th tile of these light cells is going to go here or here at this moment. So we're just going to leave this at 5, and then we're going to go somewhere else and come back to it in a moment. So I was able to bring out the 16 and then finish that 3. Okay. There is a feature you get later on that lets you highlight how many cells you have built, but currently do not have that. And so I'm going to have to count these cells by hand. Or actually I don't, because I see there's a 3 in a row here and we have to stop the 4 in a row. So let's go ahead and continue here. So I'm going to count it anyways now that I see I don't know how far I need to go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we need 4 more. So we can come out this way. And then we're going to need 3 more in here. So block the 4 in a row, and then 1, 2, can't go this way, 3. So we should be done with the 16, finish the 6, and close off the 16. Alright, cool. That was, even though that was a 1-pipper, sometimes 1-pippers aren't so trivial, so sometimes you gotta give them some credit. Alright. Start doing this puzzle here. This one is kind of weird because you have all these kind of just clustered light cells out here, and you don't know which white cells are going to go to which shape down here. So you just kind of start with the numbers, and then you bring them out, and whatever they touch, and they own those now. So we can see this 9 just came up here, and it picked up 4 of these preset cells. So gonna finish that one off, and then we need 8 here, so that's 8. Really quick, I'm gonna look at the upgrades. I pressed escape instead of the upgrades menu. Okay. So in the upgrades, you will get a few different things that help you on your journey. I'm going to grab, because this enclave has armillary rings, I'm going to grab armillary ring bonus for now. I definitely want these flood paint rules. Those let you just like drop a bunch of colors into a logic grid without having to actually draw them all one by one, but we'll get that in a moment. So armillary ring, we're already getting seeing returns from our upgrade. It'll take a little bit to pay for itself, but it will pay for itself. Let's do this logic grid. So you see, I did that one a bit faster here. When I'm not talking and focusing, I can just be like, okay, this move next, this move next, this move next, you know? So as you get better, you'll be like, oh, you know, not a whole lot going into this grid. I'll just do all the obvious moves, and then before you know it, you're done. So here we go, 5 and then 3. So here's a new insight. Basically, this insight means when you have a shape that needs to expand, you need to, you know, have it go into this place where it has to expand. So we knew, let me actually restart this. We knew that this 5 has to come out, and it has to come out again, and it has to come out again, and that's like the only place it can go. So we've reached 5, and then we close it off. A better example of this rule was that puzzle down there with the 8. Let me go back to this puzzle. So we didn't know where this 7 is going to go, or this 8 is going to go, but we do know that if we close this off in here, this 8 can't become an 8, so we have to at least bring it out here. And then we can figure out our 7, and then we can figure out our 8. So that's how that rule applies, and we're going to be seeing more advanced implementations of that as we go. Alright, anyways, let's clean up the hidden rings around here that I missed. I see a hidden ring floating up there. I'm not sure I'll be able to grab that one. Let's see. Grab this one. Alright, cool. I see some sky drops here. So I figured out this is where this one is because I see these smaller orbs and they're kind of generally going towards these larger orbs up here, so grab those. Just gonna get a vantage point up here. I see a hidden ring down here I missed. As you can see, you don't really need to go through the ring, you just kind of gotta touch it. Alright, we'll come down here later if we need to. Oh, I do see a sky drop here. Let's get this one really quick. Line up the perspective. There we go. Logic grid. So there is this is a slightly more advanced concept, but there is kind of a rule I like to call, this is more, again, advanced, but there's something called puzzle compression, where if you look at a puzzle, there's only like one way you can fit all the tiles in there, and in order to accomplish that, you have to pack things as tightly as you can. So this applies here. So even though this 2 is able to go either to the left or the right, if we put it to the right, we're going to create a chain of blocks where we can't fill in this 4 down here. So how do I know puzzle compression applies here? I don't, until, you know, you see it, but it's kind of an intuition thing that once you've done it enough, you'll see when it applies. Okay, here's a slightly more tricky puzzle. So 3s can't connect to either of these areas because it'll make it more than 3, you'll overload it, as it's called. So here we go, finish up the 3, finish up this 6, finish up this 4, 5, and 2. See some sky drops here, let's grab those. Yoink. Do this logic grid. Again, not too much happening with those, so I'm not going to mention too much about them if we've seen kind of the same thing along. New logic grid here, let's do this one. Alright. Just fill in these, only have one place to go. Alright, here's a 2-pip logic grid, let's check that one out. In a second, after I do these sky drops. This one is like blinding, looking into these, into this light here. 2-pip logic grid, okay. Gonna make sure we isolate our different numbers that can't connect, and then make sure we don't overload them. This 7 is almost definitely going to connect to this, because yeah, if we block this off, if we put a dark cell here, we cannot connect 7 to anything else. So we have 5, 6, and then one of these needs to be light. We don't know which one yet, but if we finish the 4, we see that this one has to be dark, so it doesn't touch the 4. Don't overload areas. Yeah, I've mentioned that. I've kind of mentioned that concept a little bit already. Just looking around for puzzles. Alright, here we go. Alright. Finish off that 5. So this is a kind of a area where you need to apply compression. The compression rule. So this 5 and 7, they're going to need to finish out and share this space. So we can pretty safely, because we don't have any rules that are like don't make this shape, we can pretty safely assume that this 5 just needs to take up as much space as it can, as far away from the 7 as it can, so then this 7 can take up the rest of the space it needs. Fun little slightly more advanced concept there we're already starting to use, even though it's only a 1-pip puzzle. Here's a tricky armillary ring. Gotcha. Get this hidden ring. Yoink. Just get it with my forehead. Easy. Okay. And then, oh, here's a cool puzzle. I like these puzzles with the unique shapes, so I'm going to do that too, and then finish that off. Make this 3 not connect to that 2. Make the 4 not connect to that 2. Speed up a little bit here. Alright. This 2 has to go there, and then finish the 4. And hey, wouldn't you know it, what is the shape of this puzzle? It kind of looks like wings. Whoa! TLDR, we unlocked ability to fly. I skipped the dialogue there on accident. I did mean to show it, but now we have wings. So if we jump and then in the air, we either press spacebar after we've double jumped, or we can also press the E key. We can deploy our wings. And deploying the wings without triple jumping can be useful, because then you can use wings and then you can still double jump out of your wings later. So we now have wings. Let's go ahead and finish this enclave up. Here's our first 3-pipper. So this one's going to be a little bit more tricky than what we've done so far. So let's isolate our different numbers, and then let's do our 2x2s. Now we can't do this 2 to the left here, because that'll make it a 3. So we're going to solve that and then finish it up. Solve this 4. Let's see here. So here's a rule. We haven't learned this rule or this trick yet, but we have this this kind of tail end of a number here, and we need to add one more. So we know there has to be a light cell here or here, but regardless of which one there's a light cell in, this one's going to be dark no matter what. So we can go ahead and mark that one as dark, even though we don't know which way this is going yet. This is called the corner trick, and now we can apply that to this 2 as well. Alright, so let's take a look. Try to find the next step. So this 3, if we send it to the left, it has nowhere else to go because this 2 is here. So then it has to go to the right. But if we send it to the left first, it's going to make a 4. So we need to just send it to the right first. And then close up the 3. Here we have a 2x2. Let's prevent that. Prevent this 2x2. Prevent that 2x2. 2x2 there. Alright, so if we put a light cell here, we're going to block this 5 in. So we know this one must be dark. We know the 4 has to come out at least one more tile. And now this 5 is blocked in here. The 5 can't come out of here, so we have to fill in 5 up here. Okay, fill that in. And now this 4, if we connect it here, it's going to overload it. So let's put the dark there and then the light on the other side, and we're done. 3-pip puzzles. got you thinking a little bit more now. Alright, I'm gonna go up here, get this hidden ring. See this sky drop here. Figure out how to get that. Yoink. And oh, a 4-pit puzzle. We did a 4-pit puzzle on the hub earlier, so it's not a first one, but it is a 4-pit puzzle nonetheless. So let's get started on it. So connect all dark cells. Here's an interesting thing. If we put a light cell here, it's going to force a dark cell in this corner where it gets stuck. So we don't want to accidentally isolate a dark cell in here. So let's go ahead and do that. And in fact, we can't do the same thing with this 3 because it would, again, isolate a dark cell in there. So those have to be dark. Same thing applies up here. Both of those have to be dark. This 3 has to come out, and then it can't touch those, so that's gonna finish that out. This 4 has to come out of here. It's kind of sequestered by this 2, so we put a tile in here, and then it's gonna have to come out this way. And then there's actually only 2 more places it can be, so we can finish that 4 off. So you can see if this 4 was any bigger, it would be touching either this 2 or 3, and that would not be good. Use the corner trick for this 2. This dark cell has to come out of here. Corner trick for that 3. Corner trick for this 3, and then get the dark out, and then actually didn't need the corner trick, but we did it anyways. Cool. Alright, so connecting all dark cells in mind, this has to come out here, and then this 4, again, has to come out this way. It can't go any further this way, so it has to come this way as well, and then it's done. This 2 can't come out towards this 2, because then this 2 gets stuck as a 1, so... Whoops, looks like I made a mistake. Let's use Foresight real quick to see where I made that mistake. Okay, so I made the mistake over here because I had... Let me back up. I had not considered that the 4 can also come this way. So instead of just saying, oh, that's wrong, I know that's wrong, so I'm going to just color it the other way, we're actually going to undo it and keep it at this because... we don't really need the freebie of knowing what the actual correct solution is. We can figure it out, right? Okay. Let's see. So, looking at this cell here, it has no reason to be light, so we can just make it dark here so that it's going to make sure this area is connected. If we put a light cell here, then it would have to connect through here. Okay, so this 3, it can go here, but then it has to come up here, so then we block that one. So if we put this 2 here, it's going to make both the 4 and the 2 go this way at the same time, which they can't do. So we know that's not a valid place for that one. This is kind of getting to the point where you can kind of have a compression type application of rules. So there's no reason to make this light come out here, this 2 come out here in this direction and make it take more light cells than that one. So let's just tuck it in the corner. Taking my time with this one. We know that this 4 has to come this way. Now, we don't know if it's going to finish on that side or that side, but we do now have that done. We can do the corner trick here, and this dark cell has to come out, so that comes out there. If we put a light here, it's going to isolate this group of dark cells, so let's put the wrong color. There we go. Finish this up. And now we just need to fill in this last 4. So, a little bit more tricky there. Gotta stop and think a little bit. I am doing them a little slower than I would normally do them, just because I'm talking about them a bit. Let's go out this way, get that hidden orb. There's a wandering echo. That's only the second one we've seen so far. Let's go ahead and grab it. Wandering Echo, you gotta chase until they stop moving, and then you gotta touch them again. But we're gonna try to grab this guy and then grab all these hidden rings while we're chasing it. Normally they'll disappear after a second if you leave them. This one is a little bit more lenient, but I'm just going to solve this armillary ring while I'm standing next to it. And whoop, I almost missed that hidden ring there. And because we finished the hidden ring objective, we earned the Mirabilis. Get that hidden ring, and then finish the Wandering Echo. That was kind of the main objective of this enclave, so now we have awakened the puzzle grids that have numbers in them. Logic grids with area numbers. Very cool. Pick up this lore because it's here. Alright, so let's see how we did on this enclave. We did 47 out of 60, so we need 13 more puzzles. Well, we can't really do any more puzzles from here. The start of the enclave was actually over there. So let's go back over there and get back in here. I'm actually just going to cut to the entrance. Oh, or not. I fell off the island and decided to put me back up here, so that's cool. I'm going to fly out here again really quick then and grab that logic grid and the sky drops that were out here. So here's a logic grid. Okay. You can see here I didn't actually put any dark cells, but I knew where the edges of the areas were, so I just was like being a little lazy there. Alright, whoop. I didn't get the sky drop. Looks like the sky drop is kind of converging down to this island here, so let's land. And yep, you can see the tiny sky drops often hint where the start of the sky drops are. Alright, cool. And it put me back up here again, so we can now go backwards. Oh, there was this little area down here that we missed. Let's check this out. Whoop, I miscolored a tile there. Alright, just doing kind of our given stuff, so now we have to think a little bit more. This 5 and 6 kind of have to work on at the same time, and now this 5 is done, so finish that off. Finish this 6 off, and now the 7... Well, there's only 6 open tiles left, so finish those. That was a 2-pipper, yeah. Armillary ring in our face. We've now finished the armillary ring objective. Grab a hidden ring right here. And then there was a 3-pipper over here. Let's go 3-pipper. Connect all dark cells. And no 2x2s. No reason not to have a dark cell up there. Usually if you have no reason not to have it, that means you have to have it up there. Because let's say we put a light cell up here instead. Now this dark cell has to come out here, but it's going to potentially conflict with this 5 up here. And in fact, I already see where the 5 needs to go. So the 5 needs to fill in this area here. The 5 can't go anywhere else because it's blocked in by this 2 and 3. So that light cell can't be there, so that has to be dark and then it has to come out. So just filling this in over here. Let's pull that out, and then we have to prevent a 2x2 here. Pull that out, prevent 2x2. Connect the dark cells here. Connect that, prevent that 2x2. This dark has to come out here. Just connecting the dark cells at this point. There we go. Alright, so what are we looking at here? 7 more puzzles. We know there is at least 1 more sky drop, and then we don't know how many of the other puzzles there are, but we know there's 1 more sky drop at minimum, because we can see it there in our bonus objectives. I see a hidden ring here. Do a quick fly around the edge of this island, make sure there's nothing hidden out here. Very sneaky places for them to hide things. See a logic grid down there, let's go grab that one. Whee! Okay, prevent those from touching. This 5 has to come out this way. We don't know what it's doing, if it's finishing on this side or this side yet, so we'll leave that for a moment. The dark has to come out, though, so now we know it's finishing on this side. Okay, dark has to come out. This dark has to come out here, so we wanted to make sure we don't block it in with the 6. So 5, 6. That one's done. This 5 and 3 need to take up the space here such that they don't block this area in. So if we put a light cell here, the dark has to come down this way, but then the 5 can't expand, so we know that this one has to be dark. And then the dark has to come around, and then the 3 has to go there. So we earned our Mirabilis for puzzle solving. The logic grid, I should say. I mean, it's all puzzle solving, right? If you want to call some of them puzzles. I don't know. Hidden Ring, kind of a puzzle? Maybe not. You be the judge. Alright. Whoops. I didn't read the puzzle rules. Good job, me. So connect all dark cells. So then we can do that. Connect all dark cells. Connect all dark cells. So there's kind of like an invisible barrier here. This 6 can't go into this tile. So it's going to have to fill in this. So 4, 5, 6. So that 6 has to come out here at minimum. And then that finishes the 4 off. This dark cell also has to escape. So now the 6 has to come out there at minimum. And this has to be blocked. So at present we don't know if this 6 connects to those white tiles or if it connects to those. Aha. So it can go either way here now. So if we, I mean, it can't go either way. I wasn't thinking about this. If you put a dark cell here, then it's isolated. So, there we go. The 6 is done. When you're overthinking puzzles because you're doing them on camera. I see some sky drops here. Grab those. Yoink. Alright, so we've gotten all the Mirabilis from this enclave now. There are 2 puzzles left, and I see one of them right here. It's a sky drop. Easiest way to get to this, let's see if we can fly back to the entrance of the enclave. We can. Sometimes you hit like an area where it boots you out and you have to go a long way. I did see a hidden cube up here. I'm just grabbing that real quick. We don't have many points to start with here. And it didn't actually let me go where I wanted because when I was on the little launch pad, it didn't let me deploy my wings. So I'm just going to run up there real quick and fly down to where those sky drops are. Should be able to make it from here. Gliding is pretty... You can glide quite a ways without losing any vertical height, so sky drops are kind of lining up here on this little bridge. Alright, cool. And then one puzzle left. Is it over here? It is. This is our last puzzle for the enclave. So we have this new rule here we haven't seen yet, no dominoes. So no 2x2. So basically anytime we put a dark cell, it needs to be surrounded by light cells. Cannot make anything that is not going to... can't make anything that's going to touch another dark cell. Okay, so this 4 can't go that way because it would make it a 5. Alright, make the no domino rules here. Let's see here. So one thing about the no domino rule is whenever you have the border of edges, you might see that here this 4 is kind of like in this kind of diagonal boundary, and the same is going to have to apply for everything else, because if we make this 5 like this per se, we can't then close off the 5 like this. That's going to be a straight line boundary, and we're not allowed to make straight lines with these dark cells. So the only way to make a 5 in this orientation would be to make it like this, a little plus sign. And then we can't connect those, we can't connect these, we can't connect these, or those. Or that. So now we can finish that 6 and then finish the 7. Can't connect that 8 and 9. Alright, so how do we squeeze these together? Well, we need more tiles on the 9, so we kind of have to count it out here. So if we put a tile here, we're going to gain 4 white tiles for 9. And then that will leave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If I count it correctly. So 6, 7, 8. And then block off that one down there, because if I put a light cell there, it's going to be 9. Alright, so that finishes up our first enclave, 100%. Well, not first. I guess it's the second enclave, technically, right? But yeah, before we go, let's check out what we unlocked here in our skill tree. So there are a few quality of life things I want to just kind of get right out of the gate. Let's look around first. See what all we have available. So double jump is the first one we start at. This path up here goes towards armillary ring bonuses, so more sparks and mastery from doing armillary rings. Not too interested in that at the moment. This one goes towards being able to do fill paint. Flood paint, actually, is what it's called. That's a pretty cool feature. So I'm tempted to go this way, but this feature here gives us the charge jump. So I'm going to go ahead and unlock the charge jump, because the charge jump actually gives us a lot of mobility. So if we now hold spacebar, it's going to charge this bar up, and when we release spacebar, whoosh, we jump really high. And then from the peak of our jump, we can glide and kind of go wherever we like. So I'm just kind of up here gliding, having a fun time. But with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and end this first episode. It's been kind of an introductory. We have landed up here where we have 3 static puzzles, so maybe we will tackle these next time. So without further ado, thanks for watching. If this series is interesting and you want to keep watching it, please like, subscribe. First time doing YouTube, this is weird for me. Anyways, take care, and I will see you next time.